Let's get started. I'd like to introduce Kaizen's own regional manager, Scott Cain.
Thank you, Cassie. And good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking a few minutes to spend some time together. And what we're going to be talking about today is PCB cleaning process bath life. When to dump it out, when to keep it, how to figure out the tools that allow you to maximize the chemistry and make sure that your process is still working along the way. So we get this question a lot. When should I change my chemistry? And the simple answer is there's not a simple answer for every customer. The goal of this is to determine a personalized schedule with each customer to maximize the chemistry until it's loaded when we don't want to affect that board cleanliness. And what happens is if we create this knowledgeable game plan for evaluation of your chemistry and your cleaning, it's going to save you guys time, money, and a lot of hardships. So let's kind of talk through what we're going to talk about today, and this will allow you guys to schedule your nap accordingly through my talking. We're going to talk about soil loading and what that is and why it's important, and then what kind of tools we offer for determination of your soil loading and the life of your chemistry, and then most importantly, how do we implement this new knowledge and how do you move forward with it? So one thing that we need to keep in mind is a lot of times when people say that they're having problems with the cleanliness of their boards, they think, well, it's the machine and the chemistry. And while these are two very important factors, keep in mind that everything that you see here, from your labels to your paste to your bonding to what's going on in the machine, your concentration of your chemistry, those can all affect it. And so if something changes upstream, keep in mind that we need to worry about that when we get to the cleaning part. So let's talk about soil loading. Like, why are we talking about it? What does it mean? What it really is saying is that after time, the chemistry becomes loaded with the dissolved soils and it can't solubilize the residues. Really, what it means is the chemistry can't eat as well as it could. And when the chemistry is loaded, it will affect both the cleaning and the rinsing. And I don't know if you guys have watched a number of these videos, but Ram a couple weeks ago did one about rinsing and why it's so important. And that can be found on our website. So if you want to take some time to look at that. And as we talked about, there's the recipe of the flux, the tapes, all those things that we need to worry about to get removed. And another part of this is the drag out. Controlling the drag out controls that soil load. So really what we're looking at with soil loading is we have dissolved soils, and on the bottom is the time on this chart. Now time can be pump hours, it can be cycles, or it can actually be calendar time. And then we reach a critical load where the chemistry is not maximized, it's not functioning as it's supposed to. And what we're trying to do is find that point where the time and the critical load intersect. The closer we get to this point, the longer the chemistry will last without affecting the cleanliness of the boards. So how do we test for this soil load? We know what we're looking for. Now, how do we test for it? So we've got a couple of pieces here, and we're going to walk through these. And just to let you know, if you want to dig deeper with these, all the regional sales managers can go through this either in person or over the phone and kind of explain what these are and how we look for these. So NVR stands for the non-volatile residues. And what we're looking for is what's left over inside of a sample. So really what happens is we extract a sample that has, in the process, and we record that initial mass. Then what we'll do is we'll evaporate it out and we'll leave just the contaminants or the residues left on there. And then we're going to record what that final mass is. And that provides what is called the NVR, the non-volatile residues in your sample. It's a quick and easy test. It determines the soil load in the sample. And keep in mind, this does not measure the chemical reactivity. It's just the amount of residue that's in there. Now, how does one do this? There are a couple of different options. We can do a 24-hour test with a scale and a bakeout oven. And that can either be done at your facility or it can be done at your local Kaizen analytical lab. Or there's a 1-hour testing using the HE53 moisture analyzer that can be put into your facility. And what we do with this number is when the boards are not coming out clean, the NVR level should be used as a guide moving forward. if we're not getting the cleanliness we're looking for, what is that NVR? And let's make sure we don't pass that again because we're going to run into the same problems. Now let's talk about alkalinity for a minute. Alkalinity is the capacity of the water to resist changes in pH that would make the water more acidic. And what it is used to an indicator to determine how much longer the wash solution should be able to dissolve flux. And historically, when the ratio doubles, that's when we're starting to see insufficient cleaning. So if we take this chart at the bottom, you can see that the sample, the virgin sample, has an alkalinity of 1 to 2. So what that tells us is anytime we see that alkalinity level under 1 to 4, we should be in good shape. Now we look at these samples here, we see that this alkalinity level is higher. This is something we want to acknowledge. We want to see if we're getting the cleanliness that we're looking for, because we're running to the point that it might not be able to dissolve the flux as well as it has in the past, and it may be worth evaluating a change out. Now let's talk about surface energy. So let's pretend it's a Saturday morning and you've got a hot date for Saturday night. You decide it's time to go wash and wax your car. You put the Rain-X and the Turtle Wax on there, and then you get the water droplets. They're big, bulging water droplets. That's awesome for Saturday night. That is not good for cleaning circuit boards Monday through Friday. So what happens is surface energy is measured as the energy required to increase the surface area of a liquid by a unit of area. And as the wash bath dissolves flux and all these other contaminants, we just can't rinse as well. And the rinse is very critical, as we've discussed. What is also going to happen is the amount of organic and inorganic residue, we're going to have more of that. So what we want to do is get a lower contact angle, a higher surface tension. That's going to lead to a cleaner surface. So I learned by pictures. So going back to the analogy about Saturday and waxing your car, the bad is great for your car, it's bad for your circuit boards, and vice versa. So what we want to do is get that surface area low so it can spread out, so we can get the rinsing, we can get under those components and get a cleaner board out. So let's take a minute and look at bath profiling kits. You guys got a lot to do right now. You're asked probably to wear more hats than you have in the past, and let Kaizen do the dirty work for your organization. What we offer is what's called a bath profiling kit. And what will happen is we'll send out 6 bottles, and we'll ask you to collect samples for approximately maybe twice a month or every 2 weeks. And what we want to do is record the pump hours and the cycles on the machine with those samples. And then we're going to collect all 6 of those and send those into our lab in Nashville or wherever your local analytical lab is. And we're going to run a report. We're going to determine all of these things that we've kind of talked through. And then you will get a report back. And you can see this bath sample report lays out, when the collection date was, what's the bath age, and then it's going to talk through where the NVR was with the virgin sample all the way to the end, the rinsability, so on and so forth, and provide you a lot of information that lets you extrapolate that to determine, all right, if we have lost this much chemistry in X amount of time, what does that look like going forward? It provides a really good basis for information that's really hard to see just looking at the board that you don't have to deal with day to day. So there's a couple other things to keep in mind. A regular concentration testing and documentation with your pump hours and cycles is important. It's always good to have it when a customer says, hey, when your customer asks, what was the concentration in the machine on May 11th? You're going to have that information. One other thing is evaluation of the board cleanliness from the awareness of any variation from the standard. So what that means is if all your boards are passing on whatever cleanliness testing you're using, if it's always passed at one number and now that number is increased but it's still passing, that's an indicator that something is going on in the process. And so what we want to do is get in front of that. The last thing we want to do is let that continue to go, and then we're having to play catch up instead of doing the PM. And speaking of PM, always doing regular preventive maintenance on the machine and the chemistry and making sure that, as we talked about, everything upline is not affecting the downflow. So the other thing is call us. We love working with your team to determine the life of your chemistry. Let us utilize our knowledge in our labs. We're willing to come and do this in person. We know this is kind of not exactly the time that most of us are able to do that, but let us know if so. And if not, we're available for email, phone, FaceTime, Zoom. We'll use carrier pigeons, whatever it takes. We want to get out there and see you guys and make sure you guys are happy. And did I mention we love talking about chemistry? So we just, and as Michael Jackson said, you guys are not alone. We're here to help you guys out and kind of do some of that dirty work and utilize our experience to make your life easier with cleaning. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for attending and turn it back over to Cassie.
Thank you, Scott, and thanks, everyone. If you'd like to discuss this topic further, please contact your local Kaizen regional manager or send an email to tech@kaizen.com, and we will have someone schedule a follow-up with you as soon as possible. Again, we thank you all for taking the time to join us today, and we hope to see you again soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.